The gun trembled in Elena's hand as she stood between the two men who had destroyed her life. Behind her, Donovan Reed, the American spy who'd made her believe in love again, aimed his weapon at her brother. The brother she'd spent 10 years mourning. The brother who was supposed to be dead. "Elena," Donovan's voice cut through the humid Havana night. "Step away from him, now." But Mateo's gun was already pressed against her temple, his voice, once so familiar, now cold as steel, whispering in her ear. "Tell him to drop his weapon, sister, or I'll kill you both and disappear. Again." This was never supposed to happen. The mission was simple. Find the arms dealer destroying Caribbean nations. Fall in love? That was the complication. Discovering the monster she hunted wore her baby brother's face, that was the nightmare. And now, surrounded by shipping containers and betrayal, with sirens screaming in the distance and her heart breaking in two directions, Elena Duarte had to make an impossible choice. How did a nightclub singer and a CIA operative end up here, in this warehouse of lies, with guns drawn and love dying between them? It started 6 months earlier, with a red dress, a dangerous song, and the kind of eye contact that changes everything. The bass pounded through Havana's most notorious nightclub like a second heartbeat. Donovan Reed adjusted his collar, playing the part of a Texas oil consultant, with money to burn and morals to match. The club reeked of expensive cologne, cheap cigars, and the kind of danger that made his training kick in automatically. His real mission: identify the pipeline funneling American military weapons through Cuban ports into cartel hands. Intelligence pointed to one woman, Elena Duarte, the club's star singer, who somehow had every black market dealer in old Havana eating from her palm. The lights dimmed. A spotlight hit the stage, and then she appeared. Elena wore a blood-red dress that moved like liquid fire across her skin. Her dark hair cascaded over bare shoulders, and when she gripped the microphone, every conversation in the room died. She opened her mouth and Bésame Mucho poured out, not the sweet romantic version tourists expected, but something darker, hungrier, dangerous. Donovan forgot to breathe, but Elena wasn't just performing. Her eyes scanned the crowd with calculated precision, cataloging faces, noting connections. When her gaze locked onto Donovan, her lyrics changed. She improvised in Spanish, her voice wrapping around words meant only for him. Another lost tourist, looking for trouble in paradise. She'd made him, just like that. Donovan forced himself to look casual, lifted his mojito he hadn't touched, gave her a small salute. But his mind raced. She was too good, too aware. The way cartel members kissed her hand when she passed, how the bartender wouldn't take her money, the protective circle of dangerous men who watched her like she was precious cargo. This woman was either a victim or a master player. His gut said, player. His gut was rarely wrong. When her set ended, Elena didn't go backstage. She walked straight to Donovan's table, uninvited, and slid into the seat across from him. Up close, she was even more devastating. Sharp cheekbones, lips painted dark as wine, eyes that missed nothing. "You're watching the wrong person, mi amor," she said in perfect English. Not accented, perfect. Like she'd spent years in America, not her whole life in Cuba. Donovan kept his face neutral. "I'm just enjoying the music." "No," Elena leaned forward, her perfume cutting through the smoke. "You're watching the VIP section, specifically the man in the white suit who keeps checking his watch, the one who thinks he's subtle but isn't. That man? He's watching you too. And in about," she glanced at her diamond watch, "15 minutes, you'll leave here and find cocaine planted in your rental car. Enough to put you in a Cuban prison for 20 years. Donovan's blood went cold, but he didn't move. "Why are you telling me this?" Elena slid a matchbook across the scarred table. An address was written inside in careful script. "Be there at midnight, alone, or don't, and wake up in a cell with drugs you didn't know you were carrying." She stood, smoothed her dress. "Your choice, cowboy, but choose fast. The night doesn't wait for anyone." She disappeared into the crowd before he could respond. Donovan sat there for 30 seconds, running scenarios. This could be a setup, could be a trap, could be exactly what it looked like. A warning. Finally, he threw bills on the table and headed for the exit, senses on high alert. 20 minutes later, in the hotel parking lot, Donovan checked under his rental car with a pocket flashlight. His hands found the package immediately, a plastic-wrapped brick of pure cocaine, professionally sealed, tucked behind the rear wheel well. Elena Duarte had just saved his life, or set him up for something worse. He pulled out the matchbook and stared at the address. Midnight. Alone. This was probably the stupidest decision he'd ever make. Donovan started walking toward the address anyway. The building was a crumbling colonial relic overlooking the Malecon, Havana's famous seawall. Donovan climbed 5 flights of stairs, gun tucked in his waistband, every instinct screaming that this was wrong. The rooftop door was already open. Moonlight spilled across cracked tiles. Waves crashed against the seawall far below, rhythmic and relentless. And there, leaning against the rusted railing, was Elena. She'd changed. Gone was the red dress, the stage makeup, the armor. Now she wore simple jeans and a white tank top, her feet bare, a cigarette burning between her fingers. She looked younger, more real, more dangerous because of it. "You came," she said without turning around. Her voice carried disappointment. Americans never trust their guardian angels. Guardian angels don't usually meet people on rooftops at midnight. Donovan kept his distance, his hand near his weapon. "Want to tell me what this is really about?" Elena finally turned. In the moonlight, without the club's artificial glamour, she was breathtaking and exhausted. Dark circles under her eyes, tension in her shoulders. This woman was carrying weight that had nothing to do with singing in nightclubs. "There's a rogue agent," she said simply, "selling American military weapons to Caribbean cartels. I've been tracking him for 2 years. He uses Cuban ports, has connections inside your government and mine. He's making people disappear. Journalists, activists, anyone who gets too close." "And you're tracking him why, exactly?" Donovan studied her face for lies. "You're not military, not official intelligence. Personal reasons." Her hand trembled as she lit a second cigarette, just for a moment, but Donovan caught it. "He needs to answer for what he's done." "Who is he to you?" Donovan asked quietly. Elena's mask slipped. Pure grief flashed across her face before she recovered. "Someone who needs to pay." She crushed the cigarette under her bare foot. "I need your resources. You need my access. We work together, find him, end this. Simple." Nothing about this is simple. But Donovan was already calculating. If she was telling the truth, she was his best lead. If she was lying, staying close kept her where he could watch her. "Why should I trust you?" "Because I could have let you get arrested tonight and disappeared. But I didn't." Elena moved closer, close enough that he could see gold flecks in her dark eyes. "Because I'm tired, Donovan Reed. Tired of doing this alone. Tired of watching people die. Tired of being the only person who cares about stopping him." She knew his name, his real name, not his cover. "How long have you known who I am?" Donovan's hand moved toward his gun. "Since you walked into La Rosa Negra." Elena smiled, but it was sad. "You have good tradecraft. But Cuba is small, and I've spent 10 years learning to spot American intelligence. You stand wrong. Watch wrong. Your Spanish is too perfect. Nobody actually talks like that except people who learned from books." And she tapped his chest. "You don't drink the mojito. Tourists always drink. Operatives stay sharp." Damn, she was good, really good. 48 hours, Donovan heard himself say. "We worked together for 48 hours. You help me identify this rogue agent. I help you get whatever closure you're looking for. After that, we're done. Clear?" "Crystal." Elena extended her hand. "Partnership, not friendship." Donovan shook it. Her skin was warm, calloused from guitar strings. He held on a second too long. So did she. As he turned to leave, Elena called out, "Donovan, why did you really come alone tonight? No backup, no wire, no safety protocol. That breaks every rule you were trained to follow." He looked back. "Because you told me to." Her laugh was bitter and beautiful. "You're either very brave or very stupid, Donovan Reed." "Which one are you?" he countered. "Both." She lit another cigarette, her hands finally steady. "That's why I'm still alive." Donovan arrived at Elena's apartment in Centro Havana at dawn, carrying 2 cups of terrible gas station coffee and a file folder thick with classified intelligence. The building was paint-peeling and beautiful, the kind of place where neighbors knew everyone's business and protected their own. Elena answered the door in yesterday's clothes, looking like she hadn't slept. But her apartment surprised him. He didn't know what. Something temporary. Safe house bare. Instead, it was filled with life. Books stacked on every surface, vinyl records organized with obsessive care, a guitar in the corner with worn strings. A wall of photographs, street scenes, sunsets, people laughing, and one framed photo that stopped him cold. A young woman with a boy, maybe 15, both grinning at the camera. The woman had Elena's eyes. The boy had her smile. "My mother and brother," Elena said flatly, seeing where he was looking. "Both gone." "I'm sorry." Donovan meant it. He knew that particular weight, the ghost of family you couldn't save. Elena took the coffee, grimaced at the taste, drank it anyway. "Let's work." They spread the intelligence across her kitchen table, shipping manifests, surveillance photos, intercepted communications. As they pieced together patterns, their hands brushed reaching for the same document. Eye contact lingered a beat too long. The chemistry was undeniable and completely unwanted. They were professionals. Professionals couldn't afford distraction. Here, Elena's finger traced a shipping route. This pattern, weapons coming in through Mariel Port every third Tuesday. But the signature is off. Your military uses different packing codes now. These are old codes. Pre-2015. How do you know that? Donovan leaned closer to study her work. Because I've spent 2 years becoming an expert on your weapon systems, your military logistics, your government's dirty little secrets. Elena looked up at him. Knowledge is survival, Donovan. In Cuba, you learn that fast. He believed her. More than that, he respected her. This woman had built herself into a weapon of pure determination, all in pursuit of someone she wouldn't name. There, Donovan tapped a surveillance photo. Warehouse party tonight, underground market, weapons, drugs, information. If your rogue agent is making a deal, he'll be there. Elena studied the image, then nodded. I can get us in. I know the owner. Of course you do, Donovan almost smiled. Do you know everyone in Havana? Only the dangerous ones. She started gathering the intelligence. We'll need cover identities. Backstory. You can't go in looking like an American operative. What do I look like? Donovan asked, genuinely curious. Elena tilted her head, studying him like he was a puzzle to solve. Like a man who's trying to prove something. To himself, mostly. Like someone carrying ghosts and hoping that one more mission will make them lighter. Her voice softened. It won't, you know. The ghosts don't leave just because you catch bad guys. The accuracy of it hit him in the chest. You see a lot. I have to. It's how I stay alive. She moved past him toward the bedroom. Give me 20 minutes to change, then we plan. As she walked away, her neighbor, an elderly woman with a face like weathered leather and eyes full of warmth, knocked on the still open door. She entered without invitation, speaking rapid-fire Spanish, carrying a container of rice and beans. She hugged Elena like family, kissed both her cheeks, lectured her about eating more, then noticed Donovan. The switch in her demeanor was instant, protective, suspicious. She asked Elena a question in Spanish too fast for Donovan to follow. Elena answered, her voice soothing, assuring. The old woman studied Donovan for a long, uncomfortable moment, then nodded once and left. What did she ask? Donovan said. If you were going to hurt me. Elena set the food container on the counter. I told her no. Did you mean it? Elena turned to face him fully. I don't know yet, but Senora Rodriguez loves me. She's watched over me since I moved here. This is my home, Donovan. These people, this neighborhood, Cuba, this is what I'm fighting for. Not your government, not global politics. For the people who took me in when I had nowhere else to go. Understanding crystallized for Donovan. You think I'm the enemy, aren't you? But her voice wavered, uncertain. I'm the guy trying to stop weapons from killing civilians, same as you. He held her gaze. Maybe we're fighting the same war from different sides, or maybe we're on the same side and just don't know it yet. Elena looked at him for a long moment. Something shifted in her expression, not trust, but possibility. We have 12 hours until the warehouse party. You need to check in with your handler. I need to prepare my cover. Meet me at sunset? Where? The Malecon, opposite the Hotel Nacional. You'll recognize me. A ghost of a smile. I'll be the one not trying to look American. As Donovan gathered his files, Elena caught his wrist. Her grip was strong, urgent. Don't trust anyone from the embassy. Someone's leaking information about you. How do you know? Because someone leaked information about me. That's how you found me, isn't it? Someone gave you my name, my location, my entire life. We're both being played by someone bigger than either of us suspected. She was right, and Donovan realized with cold clarity that this operation was compromised from the start. They were walking into a trap. The only question was, whose? Donovan's hotel room at the Parque Central was generic luxury, expensive enough for his oil consultant cover, bland enough to forget. Elena arrived exactly at sunset, carrying a bag of clothes and an expression that meant business. You can't wear that, she said, eyeing his button-down shirt and pressed khakis. You look like you're about to audit someone's taxes. What's wrong with this? Donovan looked down at himself. Everything screams American with something to hide. Elena pulled out a linen shirt, cream-colored, loose, the kind locals wore. Here, and lose the watch. Nobody at an underground weapons party wears a $15,000 Omega. It's not $15,000. It's... He stopped at her knowing look. How did you know the price? Because I notice everything. It's exhausting. She turned her back while he changed. We need a cover story. We're going as a couple. Anything else draws too much attention. Donovan pulled on the new shirt. It fit perfectly. How long have we known each other in this story? 3 weeks. Met at La Rosa Negra. You were there for business, stayed for me. Whirlwind romance. You're thinking of staying in Cuba longer, maybe permanently. I'm the reason why. As Elena laid out their backstory, Donovan watched her work. She was methodical, detail-oriented, building their fake relationship like an architect. What's my job in this version? Oil consultant. Stick close to the truth. Easier to remember under pressure. You're corrupt enough to be interested in alternative investments. I provide local access. She finally turned around, catching him staring. What? Nothing. Just, you're really good at this. At lying? Her smile was sharp. It's a Cuban survival skill. We've been perfecting it for 60 years. They spent the next hour rehearsing. How they met, their first date, little intimate details that would sell the deception. But somewhere in the performance, something shifted. When Elena described their fictional first kiss, her voice softened. When Donovan improvised about what he loved about her, the words felt too real. Okay, stop. Elena held up a hand. That's good enough. We're convincing. Are we pretending? Donovan asked quietly. Or are we rehearsing something else? Elena looked at him for a long moment. Does it matter? Yeah, it does. She sat on the edge of the bed, suddenly looking exhausted. Ask me something real, Donovan. Something that has nothing to do with this mission. Why singing? He sat beside her, careful to keep space between them. You could have done anything. Why music? Elena's face transformed, genuine emotion breaking through. My mother sang in church, hymns mostly. But sometimes late at night when she thought I was asleep, she'd sing these old Cuban songs, boleros from before the revolution, songs about love and loss and missing things you can't name. After she died, singing was the only thing that made sense, the only way I could still talk to her. What happened to her? Donovan asked gently. Sanctions. One word carrying oceans of bitterness. She needed cancer medication. It wasn't available in Cuba because of trade restrictions. By the time we found someone who could get it on the black market, it was too late. Elena's hands twisted together. She died because politics matter more than people. That's when I learned that governments, yours, mine, doesn't matter. They're willing to sacrifice anyone to maintain power. Donovan felt the truth of it in his bones. He'd seen it in Colombia, Afghanistan, Syria. Ordinary people crushed by machinery too big to care. I'm sorry, there's no good answer for that. No, Elena agreed. There isn't. Your turn. Why intelligence work? Donovan surprised himself by answering honestly. I wanted to be a hero. Grew up on spy movies and propaganda about protecting freedom. Thought I'd make a difference, save lives, be important. Turns out heroes get people killed. My last partner, Marcus, I missed a signal during an operation in Bogota. He trusted me. Died because of it. His voice was rough. I'm in Havana to prove I'm still sharp, still useful. Because if I'm not, then Marcus died for nothing and I'm just a guy who makes lethal mistakes. Elena's hand found his. Just for a moment, her fingers interlaced with his. Warm, real, grounding. Heroes keep trying anyway, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. They sat there in silence, holding hands, two people carrying too many ghosts trying to figure out if the living could help each other heal. Finally, Elena stood. We should go. The warehouse party starts in 2 hours. Donovan stood too, but before she could move away, he caught her wrist. Elena, whatever happens tonight, I want you to know, this, right now, talking to you like a real person, that's not part of the cover. I know, she said softly. That's what scares me. The warehouse pulsed with bass so deep it vibrated in Donovan's chest. Industrial space transformed into underground paradise, or hell, depending on your perspective. Strobe lights cut through smoke, bodies moved to reggaeton and salsa, and everywhere Donovan looked, he saw danger. Cartel representatives in designer suits, Cuban intelligence pretending to be civilians, black market dealers negotiating over bottles of expensive rum. Elena's hand was possessive on his waist, her body pressed against his side. To anyone watching, they were lovers unable to keep distance. Donovan reminded himself it was cover. His racing pulse disagreed. Left corner, 3 o'clock, Elena murmured in his ear, her lips grazing his cheek. White suit. That's Torres, Cuban Intelligence Weapons Division. If anyone knows about the shipments, it's him. Donovan nodded slightly, cataloging the man, but Elena's body had gone rigid against his. Following her gaze, he saw what had shocked her. A man in the crowd, turning away from the bar. His left hand bore a distinctive scar, long, raised, running from thumb to wrist. Elena stopped breathing. What's wrong? Donovan asked, but she was frozen, staring at the man like he was a ghost made flesh. The man felt the weight of her stare and glanced over. For a split second, their eyes met across the crowded warehouse. His face went pale. Then he turned and melted into the crowd. Before Elena could follow, Donovan pulled her onto the makeshift dance floor. You just went white as paper. Whatever you saw, we can't react. Not here. Not with 50 pairs of eyes watching. I thought I saw... Elena couldn't finish. Her entire body shook. Talk to me. Donovan held her closer, swaying to a slow bachata that didn't match the urgent rhythm around them. I need to know what's happening. That scar. Her voice was barely audible. My brother had a scar exactly like that. Kitchen accident when he was 12. I was supposed to be watching him. Instead, I was on the phone with friends. He grabbed a hot pan, sliced his hand trying to drop it. Donovan's mind raced. Your brother who's dead. Who's supposed to be dead? Elena looked up at him, eyes swimming with confusion and desperate hope. But that scar, there were only 2 people in the world with that exact scar. One was my brother, the other was our neighbor's son, and he died 10 years ago in a drowning accident. Could be coincidence, Donovan said, but he didn't believe it. 10 years in intelligence taught him there are no coincidences. I need to find him. Elena started to pull away. Donovan held her tighter. Not like this. You're shaking. You're not thinking clearly. If that was your brother, or someone who knows what happened to him, running after him in a warehouse full of weapons dealers is how you get killed. We're already exposed. Let's finish the mission, get out clean, then we investigate properly. The logic reached her through the panic. Elena's breathing slowed, though her eyes kept scanning the crowd. The man with the scar was gone. I promise you, Donovan said, his forehead nearly touching hers. We'll find him. Together. I don't break promises to people I care about. You care about me? Elena asked, like she genuinely didn't know. Yeah. Donovan's hand moved to cup her face. I really do. And that's probably the most dangerous thing that's happened tonight. Their faces were inches apart. The music pulsed around them, and Elena kissed him. It started as cover. There were eyes on them. They needed to look authentic. But it didn't stop when it should have. Elena's fingers tangled in his shirt, Donovan's hand slid into her hair, and for 30 seconds, the entire warehouse disappeared. There was only this, her mouth on his, the taste of rum and desperation, two people finding each other in the middle of chaos. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, reality came crashing back. "That was," Donovan started. "Tactical," Elena finished, but her fingers were still twisted in his shirt and her pupils were blown wide. "Yeah, tactical." He didn't believe it either. A burst of shouting erupted near the bar, some dispute over a deal gone wrong. In the chaos, Donovan scanned for the man with the scar. Gone. Completely vanished. They stayed for another 40 minutes, gathering intelligence, playing their roles. But something fundamental had shifted between them. Every accidental touch felt electric. Every whispered word in each other's ears felt like intimacy beyond the mission. As they finally extracted themselves and slipped out into Havana's humid night, Elena said, "We need to talk about what just happened." "The kiss or the scar?" Donovan asked. "Both? Neither. I don't know." She leaned against the warehouse wall, suddenly looking lost. "I'm good at this, Donovan. Being a spy, playing roles, keeping secrets. I'm terrible at real things, at letting people in. And you're making me want things I can't afford to want." "Like what?" "Like trust. Like partnership. Like," she gestured helplessly between them. "Whatever this is, it makes me stupid, distracted, gets people killed. Or it makes us stronger," Donovan countered. "Two people watching each other's backs instead of operating alone. Did you notice the man who tried to spike our drinks at the bar? I saw it. Did you notice the woman taking photos of us from the catwalk? You saw it. Together we're harder to kill." Elena looked at him like he was proposing something revolutionary. "You want to actually work together, not just coexist on the same mission?" "Yeah, I do." Donovan stepped closer. "Because I meant what I said in there. I care about you. And I think you care about me, even though it terrifies you. So let's be terrified together and see what happens." A slow smile broke across Elena's face, the first genuine one he'd seen. "You're either very brave or very stupid, I know," Donovan finished. "You've mentioned that, so which am I?" "Both." Elena pushed off the wall. "Come on, we have work to do." As they walked through old Havana's narrow streets, their hands found each other in the darkness. Neither acknowledged it. Neither let go. Elena's apartment at 3 a.m. felt like a sanctuary. They sat on her floor, surrounded by notes and surveillance photos, neither ready to leave, neither admitting why. The adrenaline had worn off, leaving something raw, more honest. "Tell me about Marcus," Elena said quietly. "Your partner who died." Donovan was silent for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, "He was better than me at everything. Better instincts, better Spanish, better at reading people. He should have been lead on the Bogota operation, but I had seniority. I missed a signal. Our assets tell that something was wrong. Walked us straight into an ambush. Marcus took 3 bullets meant for me. Died in the street while I held him, apologizing for being an arrogant idiot who thought he knew better." "How long ago?" Elena asked. 14 months. Feels like yesterday." Elena was quiet for a moment. "My brother Mateo wrote me letters while he was in intelligence training. He was scared, wanted to quit. Said they were making him do things that felt wrong. I told him to be strong, to serve Cuba, to make our mother proud. 3 months later, they told me he drowned in a training exercise off the coast of Baracoa. Closed casket funeral. I buried an empty box and spent 10 years believing I killed him with bad advice." "Elena, if that was him tonight," she continued, her voice shaking. "If he's been alive this whole time selling weapons, becoming everything he was afraid of becoming, that's on me. I pushed him into that life. I killed the brother I knew and created whatever monster he's become." "You were a kid trying to help your brother survive," Donovan said. "That's not the same as killing him." "Isn't it?" Elena looked at him with devastating honesty. "We tell ourselves we're the heroes, Donovan. We convince ourselves the missions matter, the sacrifices are necessary, but all I see are the people we couldn't save. All you see is Marcus bleeding out. When does the cost become too high?" Donovan didn't have an answer. Instead, he reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. What if we stopped carrying it alone? The guilt, the ghosts. What if we put it down, just for tonight, and figured out what comes next together? Elena leaned into his touch. I don't know how to do that. Neither do I. But I'm willing to try if you are. They almost kissed then. The want was obvious, magnetic, but Elena pulled back at the last second. Not until this is over. Not until we're not lying to everyone, including ourselves. When we're together, if we're together, I want it to be real. No cover stories, no missions, just us. Okay, Donovan said, even though waiting felt impossible. When this is over, I'm taking you to dinner. Somewhere with terrible mojitos and worse music. Somewhere completely normal. Elena laughed, bright and surprised. There's nothing normal about us. Good. Normal's overrated. Donovan stood, offered his hand to help her up. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we run down that scar lead, figure out what's actually happening here. As he moved toward the door, Elena caught his wrist. Donovan, thank you for seeing me, for not running away when I showed you the messy parts. The messy parts are the real parts, he said. Those are what I care about. After he left, Elena stood at her window, watching him walk through the pre-dawn streets. For the first time in a decade, she imagined a future beyond revenge, a future that included trust, partnership, maybe even love. It terrified her more than any weapon, but it also felt like the first honest thing she'd wanted in years. The U.S. Embassy's secure communications room was cold, sterile, designed to repel any warmth. Donovan sat in front of the facial recognition software, running the image he'd captured at the warehouse party. A blurry shot of the man with the scar, taken on his phone when Elena wasn't looking. 24 hours since the warehouse, 24 hours of investigating parallel to Elena, not telling her he was following this lead. Because if he was wrong, he didn't want to break her heart. And if he was right, the computer beeped, match found. Donovan's blood turned to ice. Name, Mateo Alejandro Duarte. Status, KIA presumed. Training accident, Baracoa Coast date, April 2015. Service, Cuban Intelligence Special Operations Division. Next of kin, Elena Maria Duarte, sister. But the file didn't end there. Buried in classified annexes, accessible only to senior intelligence officers, was an update. Status correction, classified. Subject confirmed alive. Operating under multiple aliases, primary activities, arms trafficking, intelligence brokering, destabilization operations, known associates, Los Zetas cartel, Colombian FARC remnants, Venezuelan black market networks, estimated kills 40 plus, threat level extreme. The monster they'd been hunting, the rogue agent selling American weapons, the man destroying lives across the Caribbean. It was Elena's baby brother, every trembling hand, every desperate search, the grief in her eyes. She'd been hunting him without knowing, and Donovan had watched her tear herself apart over a ghost who was actually the nightmare. His handler's voice crackled through the secure line. Reed, we have authorization for termination. Target is Mateo Duarte, lethal force approved. If you can't execute, we'll send a team that can. Sir, this isn't negotiable. The subject has killed 40 people, Reed. He's armed, dangerous, and your asset, Elena Duarte, is emotionally compromised. In fact, papers rustled, intelligence suggests she may be working with him. Classic sibling operation. That's bullshit, Donovan said flatly. Is it? She showed up at exactly the right time to save you from arrest. She has access to information she shouldn't have. She's been one step ahead of us this entire time. Maybe ask yourself, what if the grieving sister act is exactly that? An act? The doubt crept in like poison, because his handler was right. Elena was too good, too connected, too perfectly positioned. Every intelligence officer learned the best lies wrapped around truth. But Donovan remembered the kiss, the vulnerability, the way she'd opened up about her mother, her guilt, her fear of trusting. That wasn't acting. He'd stake his life on it. I need 48 hours, Donovan said. You have 24. Find Mateo Duarte, bring him in or take him out. Those are your options. And Reed, if Elena Duarte gets in the way, she's acceptable collateral. Understood? Donovan closed his eyes. Understood. He sat alone in the cold room for a long time after the call ended, staring at Mateo's file photo. The kid had Elena's eyes, her smile. He looked like someone who laughed easily, who cared about things, who could have been anything. What had turned that boy into a killer? And how was Donovan supposed to tell Elena that everything she'd been searching for had a solution that ended with her brother's death, probably by Donovan's hand? Donovan called Elena to the rooftop where they had first met, the place where this partnership began. Neutral ground. He arrived early, rehearsing what to say. There was no good version of this conversation. Elena appeared at sunset, breathless, like she'd run all the way. I found something. The man with the scar. I have a name, a location. We can move tonight. Elena, stop. Donovan's voice was harder than he intended. What's wrong? Your brother's alive. The words landed like bullets. Elena physically staggered, grabbing the railing for support. What did you say? Mateo Duarte, Cuban intelligence, special operations, presumed dead 10 years ago in a training accident. He's not dead. He's the rogue agent we've been hunting. He's been alive this entire time, selling weapons, and you've been chasing him without knowing. Elena's face drained of color. Her hands trembled so violently she had to grip the railing to stay upright. You ran me through your database? You investigated me? I investigated the case. I am not the case. Elena was shouting now, voice breaking. My brother is not a file number. He was 15 when they recruited him. He wrote me letters about wanting to quit, about the terrible things they made him do, and then one day the letters just stopped. They told me he drowned. I buried an empty coffin, Donovan. I mourned him for 10 years, and now you're telling me he's been alive, selling weapons, becoming the exact monster he was afraid of becoming? She couldn't finish. She was crying. Deep, broken sobs that shook her entire body. Donovan reached for her. Elena, don't touch me. Her voice was ice and fire. Did you know, when you kissed me, when you held me, when you promised we'd find him together? Did you already know? I just found out 24 hours ago. But you knew something was wrong. You profiled me. You've been investigating me this whole time while pretending to care. Was any of it real? Or was I just another target you needed to manipulate? Everything was real. Donovan's voice cracked. Elena, I swear to you, everything between us is real. I'm not the enemy here. Yes, you are. Elena's eyes were dead now, all warmth gone. Your government killed my mother with sanctions that prevented her from getting medicine. Your government backed every dictator who destroyed Cuba for 60 years. You come here with your missions and your moral certainty, and you think you're the hero. But to me, to us, you're just another colonizer deciding which Cubans deserve to live and which ones should die for your strategic interests. The truth of it hit Donovan like a punch, because she wasn't entirely wrong. Elena, please, are you going to kill him? Simple question. Devastating. Donovan hesitated. 1 second. That was all it took. That's what I thought. Elena turned to leave. Where are you going? To find my brother before you do. And if you try to stop me, I will end you. I mean that, Donovan. If you come between me and Mateo, I will put you down without hesitation. She meant every word. Donovan saw it in her eyes. The warm, vulnerable woman from last night was gone. In her place, a soldier ready to burn the world to save her blood. Elena, he's killed 40 people. 40. Civilians, activists, anyone who got in his way. The boy you remember is gone. I'm sorry, but you need to face that. I'll face it when I see him, not when you tell me. She was at the door now. Don't follow me. Don't contact me. We're done. We're not done, Donovan said desperately. I care about you. What we have is real. Elena laughed, bitter, broken. What we have is a fantasy built on lies. You wanted an exotic Cuban asset who'd make your mission easier. I wanted someone who'd help me find my brother. We both got played. By each other. By our governments. By whatever naive part of us thought love was possible in this fucked up world. I do love you. The words escaped before Donovan could stop them. Elena froze at the door. For a moment her mask cracked, pure pain flooding her face. Then she locked it down. That makes it worse, because now when you kill my brother, I'll know it was done by someone I loved. And that's a special kind of hell I don't think either of us deserves. She left. The door slammed with such finality it echoed across the rooftop. Donovan stood there as the sun set, watching Havana light up below him, and realized he'd just lost the most important thing he'd found in years. He tried calling her that night. Blocked. He went to her apartment. Empty. Belongings cleared out like she'd never existed. He checked La Rosa Negra. The manager said she quit. No forwarding information. No goodbye. Elena Duarte had vanished into Havana's underworld, and Donovan had 24 hours to find a rogue agent who was also the brother of the woman he loved. This was what they called in the business an impossible situation, also known as completely fucked. 12 hours after the confrontation, the embassy conference room felt like a tomb. Donovan's handler, Deputy Director Morrison, laid out grainy surveillance photos. Elena meeting with known Cuban intelligence assets, entering secure government buildings, making calls from protected lines. "Your asset is compromised," Morrison said without emotion. "Elena Duarte has been working Cuban intelligence for at least 6 years. The brother? Probably her partner. This whole thing was a setup from the beginning. She played you, Reed. She's good at it. That's what makes her dangerous." "No," Donovan pushed the photos away. "She didn't know her brother was alive. I watched her face when I told her. That wasn't acting. Or you saw what you wanted to see because she's beautiful and damaged and you thought you could save her." Morrison leaned forward. "I'm not judging. It happens. But now we have a situation. Mateo Duarte is meeting with cartel representatives tomorrow night. Final weapons deal before he goes. Underground permanently. You take him out, or we send a wet work team that'll eliminate him, her, and anyone standing nearby. Your choice. There has to be another way. There isn't. You have until tomorrow night. This conversation is over." Donovan sat alone after Morrison left, staring at the photos. Elena looked tired in every single one. Not dangerous, not calculating, just exhausted. He made a decision. He'd find Mateo first, give Elena a chance to talk to her brother, to see who he'd become before anyone died. It was probably career suicide, definitely insubordination, but he couldn't kill Elena's brother without giving her that chance. Even if she hated him forever, she deserved the truth. The safe house in Regla was cramped and smelled like mildew. Elena sat across from Colonel Reyes, the man who'd trained both her and Mateo in intelligence work, who'd been her handler for years. "Your brother is a traitor," Reyes said simply. "To Cuba, to his training, to you. Let the Americans handle it." "He's my blood." Elena's voice was raw from crying. "Blood doesn't excuse 40 murders, 27 weapons shipments that destabilized 3 governments. He's beyond redemption, Elena. You know this." "Then let me try," she was begging now. "Give me one chance to talk to him, to understand what happened, why he became this. Maybe I can bring him back." "You can't bring back someone who doesn't want to be found. The boy you knew died in that training accident. What walks around in his body now? That's something else, something dangerous, something that needs to be put down." Elena loaded her pistol with shaking hands. "If he needs to be put down, I'll do it. But I need to see him first. I need to know." Reyes studied her for a long moment. "You have until tomorrow night. After that, I can't protect you. The Americans want him dead. Cuban intelligence wants him dead. Even the cartels are starting to see him as a liability. Tomorrow night, everyone's guns will be pointed at your brother. Don't be standing next to him when they fire." After Reyes left, Elena sat alone with the one photo she'd kept. Her, Mateo, and their mother at a beach years ago. All of them smiling, all of them innocent. "What did they do to you, Hermanito?" she whispered to the photo. "What did we all do to you?" She made her decision. She'd find Mateo first, give him a chance to explain, to run, to disappear. She owed him that, even if Donovan was right, even if her brother was truly lost. But she also packed 2 pistols instead of 1, because she was a professional. And professionals finished what they started. Both Elena and Donovan received the same tip through different channels. Mateo Duarte was making his final arms deal tomorrow night at the abandoned Mariel port warehouses. After this transaction, he'd have enough money to disappear forever. New identity, new life, beyond anyone's reach. 24 hours, 1 warehouse, 3 people on a collision course with no good endings. Tomorrow night would answer every question and destroy whatever was left of everyone involved. The clock was ticking. Night fell over Mariel Port like a curtain, thick, humid darkness broken only by sparse lights that created more shadows than illumination. The abandoned shipping warehouse was a maze of rusted containers, broken machinery, and decades of neglect. The perfect place for illegal deals, the perfect place for people to disappear. Elena arrived first, moving through the darkness like a ghost. She'd positioned herself in the rafters with a sniper rifle, not to kill, just to watch. To see who her brother had become, to understand how the boy who used to cry over injured birds had turned into a man who sold death. Below, Mateo negotiated with 3 cartel representatives. Even from a distance, Elena could see the changes. He was harder, colder, moved with predatory efficiency. His Spanish was sharp, businesslike. No warmth, no humanity. Just transactions. 50 automatic rifles, Mateo said in Spanish, his voice carrying in the empty space. Military-grade, American manufacture, plus ammunition, explosives, and 3 portable anti-aircraft systems. Payment on delivery, non-negotiable. This wasn't her little brother. This was a stranger wearing his face. Outside, Donovan's extraction team surrounded the perimeter. He'd called them in despite Morrison's orders, not to kill Mateo, but to contain the situation. He needed to get to Elena before this went catastrophically wrong. He entered through the back, moving silently through containers, trying to locate Elena before she did something irreversible. Everything went wrong at once. The cartel representatives tried to renegotiate, offering less money, threatening violence. Mateo didn't negotiate. He drew his weapon. They drew theirs. The warehouse erupted in gunfire. Elena, trying to protect her brother from the crossfire without revealing her position, took a shot that hit one cartel member's shoulder. Non-lethal. Warning, but it revealed her location. Mateo looked up, saw her silhouette against the moonlight streaming through broken skylights, and his face went completely white. "Elenita?" His voice cracked. 15 years old again, scared. That one word shattered her. Elena dropped from the rafters, landed hard, and ran toward him. Not away from danger, toward it, toward her brother, toward the only family she had left. Donovan burst in as Mateo ran. Elena chased him. Donovan chased Elena. The cartel members scattered, firing at everyone. Cuban police sirens wailed in the distance. Donovan's team called for authorization to engage. It was chaos. The kind of operational nightmare that ended with bodies and burned intelligence. Elena cornered Mateo in the shipping yard, between containers, surrounded by rusted metal and shattered dreams. Her gun was raised. So was his. 10 feet of Caribbean night between them. "I thought you were dead," Elena said in Spanish, voice breaking. "I should be." Mateo's voice was older, damaged. "They made me dead, Elena. Cuban intelligence, American CIA, all of them. They make us all dead. Everything we believed in was a lie, so I decided to burn it all down. By becoming an arms dealer? By selling weapons that kill innocent people? By surviving," he was shouting now. "By taking from them what they took from us. You think you're better? You've been informing for Cuban intelligence for years. How many people have you destroyed? How many lives ruined for the glorious revolution?" The accusation hit home. Elena flinched. "I was trying to find you. You should have let me stay dead. I was happier as a ghost." Donovan rounded the corner, weapon drawn on Mateo. Professional stance, clear shot. "Elena, step away from him." Elena didn't move. She was between them now. Gun raised, but she didn't know who she was protecting anymore. "Elena," Donovan's voice was steady, controlled. "You don't have to do this alone. Let me help you." "Help?" She laughed, broken glass and bitter truth. "You're here to kill him. That's your mission. That's what you do. You find the bad guys and you eliminate them." "Well, congratulations, Donovan. You found him. Now what?" "Now I'm choosing you," Donovan said quietly. "I'm putting my gun down. I'm trusting you to make the right call. Because I love you. And love means believing in someone, even when everything's burning down." He lowered his weapon, completely vulnerable. Mateo used the distraction, moved fast, grabbed Elena, gun to her head. "Drop your weapon, American. Kick it away, or I kill the only person in Cuba who still believes in something." Donovan froze. His training screamed, "Take the shot." Clear line to Mateo's shoulder, but Elena was too close. Any firefight risked her life. "Why are you protecting him?" Donovan demanded, eyes locked on Elena. Look at what he's become. Because I made him this, Elena's scream echoed through the shipyard. He wanted to quit. He was 15 and terrified, and I told him to stay, to be brave, to serve Cuba, to make our mother proud. I did this to him, don't you understand? I turned my baby brother into a monster because I believed in a lie. Mateo's grip loosened slightly. Elenita, you didn't know. I should have protected you. She was crying freely now. I was supposed to keep you safe. After Mommy died, you were my responsibility. And I failed. I failed you completely. You were 21, Mateo said softly. You were grieving. You believed what they told you, that serving Cuba meant something. That sacrifice mattered. We both believed it. We were both wrong. Elena, Donovan's voice cut through. You have to choose, him or everything else, because I can't let him walk away, and if you help him escape, you're done. No more home, no more music, no more Cuba. You'll be a fugitive. And eventually, someone will kill him anyway. Maybe me, maybe the cartels, maybe Cuban intelligence. This path ends in blood. It's just a question of how much. Elena looked at Donovan, then at Mateo. Two futures, both destroying her. I love you, she said to Mateo. I'll always love you, but he's right. This ends in death, and I can't watch you die again. I can't bury another empty coffin and spend the rest of my life wondering if I could have saved you. She stepped out of Mateo's grip, stood next to Donovan, chose. Mateo stared at her like she'd just shot him. After everything, you're still my brother. That's why I'm not letting you do this anymore. That's why I'm stopping you, because this isn't you. This isn't who Mommy raised. This isn't who you were supposed to become. Mateo ran, fast, toward the water. Donovan gave chase, but not to kill, to contain. He needed Mateo alive, for Elena, for answers, for some version of justice that didn't end with her completely shattered. They fought at the water's edge, brutal, personal. Mateo was trained, so was Donovan. But Donovan was motivated by something Mateo wasn't, the desperate need to prove to Elena that not everyone in her life would betray her. Donovan got him pinned, gun drawn. It's over. You can come in alive, face what you've done, maybe earn some kind of redemption, or you can die here. Your sister's watching. Which man do you want her to remember? Elena arrived, breathless. Don't kill him, please, I'm begging you. I'm not going to, Donovan said, but he goes into custody. He answers for the 40 people he killed. That's non-negotiable. Cuban military vehicles surrounded them, not Donovan's team, Cuban intelligence led by Colonel Reyes. But they weren't pointing guns at Mateo, they were pointing them at Donovan. Elena, Reyes said calmly, excellent work. The American is now Cuban custody. He'll be processed and returned to the U.S. in a prisoner exchange within the week. Your brother can go. We have bigger uses for him than prison. Elena's face went white. What? No, I didn't. You called me, gave me the location, led us here. This was the plan from the beginning. Reyes smiled. Unless you're saying you didn't know, that you accidentally betrayed the American who fell in love with you? Elena looked at Donovan, horror in her eyes. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know they'd... But she had called Reyes. She had given him information. Even if she didn't mean this outcome, her actions led here. Donovan's face was unreadable. Was any of it real? All of it, Elena was crying. All of it was real. That's why this hurts so much. Mateo used the confusion, disappeared into the harbor darkness, gone. Again. They dragged Donovan away. He didn't fight, just looked at Elena with something like understanding, or maybe resignation. I hope you find what you're looking for. I already did, Elena whispered, but he was too far away to hear. Colonel Reyes put a hand on Elena's shoulder. You did well. The American will be fine. Prisoner exchange. Diplomatic channels. No harm done. I just betrayed the man I love and let my brother escape to kill more people. What part of that is well? The part where you chose Cuba, chose family, chose loyalty. Reyes studied her. Or would you prefer I had let them kill Mateo? Elena had no answer, because she wouldn't have. She'd made her choice, and it destroyed everything. She stood alone on the waterfront as they took Donovan away. having lost both her brother and the first man she'd trusted in 10 years. Was there ever a right answer? She asked the empty air. The waves didn't respond. The embassy holding cell was clean, climate-controlled, and completely soul-crushing. Donovan sat on the narrow cot, replaying the warehouse over and over. Had Elena known? Had she played him from the beginning? Morrison visited with paperwork. Prisoner exchange approved. You'll be on a plane to Miami in 48 hours. Your career with the agency is finished, Reed. You compromised a mission for a woman who was working you the entire time. You're lucky you're not facing charges. She didn't know, Donovan said quietly. You sure about that? Because the evidence suggests otherwise. I'm sure. And he was. He'd seen her face. Real grief, real horror. Elena had been played by her own handler as much as Donovan had been played by his. Then you're a fool, Morrison said. But you're a fool who gets to go home. Take the win. After Morrison left, Donovan sat with one thought. He'd find a way to fix this, not for the mission, not for his career, for Elena, because she deserved better than being used by everyone she trusted. Elena hadn't left her apartment in 3 days, hadn't eaten, just sat with photos. Her mother, her brother, and one new addition, a grainy image from the warehouse party security cameras, her and Donovan dancing, looking at each other like they were the only people in the world. Colonel Reyes arrived with an offer. Official position with Cuban intelligence, full benefits, protection, status, you've earned it, Elena. She looked at the photo, at Donovan's face, at the happiness she'd felt for exactly 30 seconds before everything collapsed. I don't want it. Elena, you used me, used my grief, used my brother's memory, used my guilt. I thought I was hunting a monster. Turns out I was just another piece on your chessboard, another asset to be manipulated and discarded. We all serve something larger than ourselves. I'm done serving. Elena handed back her credentials, intelligence contacts, government IDs, everything. Find someone else to sacrifice. After Reyes left, Elena wrote a letter. She didn't know if she'd send it, but she needed to say it. Donovan, I didn't betray you, but I also didn't save you. Those feel like the same thing now. You asked if it was real. The kiss, the dance, the moment I almost believed in something beyond revenge. It was real. You were the first person in 10 years who made me want to be more than my grief. Who made me think that maybe trust was possible, maybe love was possible. But wanting isn't enough. I chose my brother. You would have chosen your duty. We were always going to end here, on opposite sides of something bigger than both of us. I hope you find your redemption. I'm still looking for mine. I'm sorry. For all of it. She sealed the envelope, addressed it, placed it on her nightstand, didn't send it, not yet, maybe not ever. Some truths were too painful to deliver. Donovan Reed no longer worked for the CIA. He'd left, not fired, not forced out, but voluntarily walked away. Now he consulted for NGOs, tracking humanitarian aid shipments into conflict zones, making sure food and medicine reached the people who needed it instead of being stolen by warlords. It was boring compared to intelligence work, safer, more honest. And every single day, he thought about Elena. His therapist, a new development, asked during their weekly session, "Do you regret Havana?" Donovan considered. Every day, and also never. Can you explain that? I regret how it ended, the pain I caused, the situation I put her in. But I don't regret meeting her, loving her, learning that I could feel something beyond guilt and mission parameters. She made me human again. That's worth something. Have you tried contacting her? No, she asked me not to. I'm respecting that. But he still had the matchbook from La Rosa Negra, carried it in his wallet like a talisman, couldn't bring himself to throw it away. Elena Duarte had moved as far from Havana as possible while staying in Cuba. Santiago was smaller, quieter, less haunted by memories. She sang again, not at notorious nightclubs for dangerous men, but in small local venues, for families, for herself. She'd heard through underground channels that Mateo made it to Venezuela, then vanished. Part of her wanted to find him, part of her knew the chapter was closed, maybe permanently. She kept the photo from the warehouse party on her nightstand. Some mornings she looked at it and smiled. Other mornings she turned it face down. Today was a face-down day. A package arrived at Elena's door. No return address. Inside, a flash drive and a handwritten note. Elena opened her laptop, inserted the drive. One file. Comprehensive evidence on the cartel members who'd bought Mateo's weapons. Names, transactions, locations, dates. Enough to take them down without putting Mateo in more danger. The note was simple. Thought you might want to finish what we started. Elena stared at the screen for a long time. He'd been working the case for 6 months, without her, for her. She wrote one word in response, encrypted it, sent it to an old CIA contact email she knew he still monitored. Mexico City, next Thursday, Café Azul, 3 p.m. Then she closed the laptop and tried not to hope. Mexico City, Café Azul, neutral ground, far from intelligence agencies and old ghosts. Donovan arrived 30 minutes early, force of habit. He ordered coffee he didn't drink and watched the door. Elena was late. He wondered if she'd come at all. Then, "You look different." Elena stood behind him. Shorter hair, shoulder length now, practical. Softer clothes, no armor, no performance. "So do you." Donovan had grown a beard, looked tired but settled, like he'd finally stopped running from something. They sat. The silence was heavy but not hostile. "Why did you send the flash drive?" Elena asked. "Because it was never about closing the case. It was about giving you options. You didn't get to choose in Havana. Maybe you can choose now." "I chose." Her voice was quiet. "I chose my brother, and I'd do it again." "I know." Donovan met her eyes. "I'd probably do the same for Marcus if I could go back. Family makes us irrational, doesn't make it wrong." Elena's eyes watered. "I didn't betray you, not intentionally." "I know that too." Donovan leaned forward. "I've had 6 months to be angry, to run through every version of that night, and here's what I landed on. You're not a spy. You're a person who got caught in a machine too big for any of us. You tried to save everyone. You couldn't. That's not betrayal. That's just being human." A tear slipped down Elena's cheek. "I haven't let myself cry about it, about you. If I started, I didn't think I'd stop." "Then don't stop. Not here." He reached across the table, took her hand. "You don't have to be strong with me." Elena broke. 6 months of grief, guilt, longing. Donovan moved to her side of the table, held her while she sobbed into his shoulder. Other cafe patrons stared. Neither of them cared. When she finally quieted, "I missed you. I hated you. I dreamed about you, all at the same time." "Yeah," Donovan's voice was rough. "That about sums it up." They sat there, holding each other, two broken people trying to figure out if broken things could still create something beautiful. They walked through Mexico City's parks, warm sun, children playing, normal life happening around them. "I can't go back to the US, Elena said. "I'm flagged." "I can't go back to Cuba," Donovan replied. "Definitely flagged." They laughed. It was absurd and sad and somehow perfect. "So what are we doing here?" Elena asked. "Honestly, I don't know. I just knew I needed to see you, to say I'm sorry, for not trusting you when it mattered, for making you feel like you had to choose between loving your brother and what?" He stopped walking. "And maybe loving me, eventually, if we'd had time." "We don't work," Elena said practically. "Not in the real world. My life is Cuba. Yours is wherever home is now. What if we made a new real world?" Donovan wasn't pleading, just offering. Not spies, not missions. Just two people who've been through hell and maybe want to see if something good can grow in the aftermath. "I don't know how to do normal." "Good. We'll figure it out together. Badly. Probably spectacularly." She laughed. God, he'd missed that sound. "I'm in Mexico City for a few months," Elena said. "Helping a women's cooperative with music therapy programs, building a life, slowly. I can consult from anywhere. We could try, no promises beyond that. I don't need promises, just a chance." Elena stopped walking, looked at him seriously. "One condition, if you ever find Mateo, let me know first, before anyone else. He's still my brother. And if he comes to you, I'll tell you. No more secrets. We burn that way." "Deal." They shook hands, mock formal. Then both laughed at the absurdity of it. "We're really doing this?" Elena asked. "Trying to be normal people who date and fight about dishes and maybe build something real? Unless you have a better idea." "I don't." She kissed him. Soft. Real. Unchoreographed. "But I'm terrified." "Me too. Let's be terrified together." Morning light streamed through windows. Donovan made coffee, badly. Elena had taught him 3 times and he still burned it. Elena sat on the couch, guitar in her lap, working on a new song. Their apartment was small but filled with life. Her mother's old records, his running shoes by the door, books in 2 languages, photographs of their new life together, market trips, weekend travels, normal couple things. They'd built something, quiet, imperfect, theirs. Donovan's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered, immediately tense. Elena watched, ready to run if needed. After a moment, he hung up. That was Colonel Reyes. Elena went very still. "And?" Mateo turned himself in. "He's negotiating immunity in exchange for testimony about cartel operations. He's scared and asking for you." A year ago, this moment would have destroyed them. Now? "Come with me," Elena said. "To Havana. Help me figure out how to talk to him." "You sure?" "The last time I was in Cuba." "I know, but you're not the American operative anymore, and I'm not the desperate informant. We're just us, and I need you." Donovan nodded. "When do we leave?" At the airport, waiting for their flight to Havana, Elena rested her head on Donovan's shoulder. "You know this is crazy," she said. "Yeah, but we do crazy well." She laughed. "Did you ever think that night at La Rosa Negra we'd end up here? Honestly? I thought I'd be dead by dawn." Donovan kissed her forehead. "This is much better. What do we do if it all falls apart again?" "Then we fall apart together and figure out how to put each other back together. That's what love is. Choosing to stay even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard." Elena pulled out the photo from the warehouse party. "Should we be worried this whole thing is just another version of dancing on the job?" Donovan grinned. "Probably, but at least this time we know the steps." Their flight was called. They stood, gathered their bags, toward Havana, toward whatever came next, together.